I'm going to hop in it today. I think this will be a quick one. We had a very clear request just to go through the cold email piece that I mentioned briefly last week. What's just a formula for cold email. And today I'm just going to go through kind of a 4-part structure of one of many of the cold email approaches that typically can work well in this type of crowded environment. So, if you want to follow up on that and dig into the process for cold emailing, that can be a topic for another lunch and learn today. I'll just run through a 4-part process. What is a cold email? What is it designed to do? How do you get that desired effect? Really an intro for those who are not using this arrow in the quiver at the top of the funnel to get after business owners or referral prospects as part of your social selling program, as part of your digital sales funnel. So we'll run through that. I'll go through some of the updates. We've had a lot of updates released to the platform this week, so I don't want to spend too much time on BizNexus, but if you're an intermediary or if you're a buyer, those updates are directly relevant to you and can help with your deal sourcing process. So that's what this is all about. At the end of the day, deal origination, deal flow. So if we have something that we've added to the platform that's helpful, we're going to run through it. For those of you who are newbies on this call today, and I see a few of you, which is great. Who am I? Why should you care? Basically, we run BizNexus. That's our platform for auction-based deal flow, right, for publicly listed companies. And that is a matching platform. So if you're looking to buy a business, it is a great platform to leverage intermediaries, a subject which I speak about often, using intermediaries to help supplement your deal flow. Big fan. That's what BizNexus is really built on. It's a critical part of any acquisition strategy. So if you are a searcher, or if you're in buyout, or if you're a first-time individual buyer and you're not using intermediaries to help guide your deal origination, my opinion, big mistake. BizNexus helps you do that. We connect you with intermediary rep deals, acquisition opportunities, and the intermediaries themselves, just based on geographic location, your target industry niche, your target deal size, et cetera, et cetera. BN.Digital, that's the stuff that we primarily talk about on these calls during these webinars. That's our agency for off-market deal flow, for proprietary deal flow. And we talk about our social selling process, our digital sales funnel. The point of all of this is to really leverage everything that we have online to grow relationships that turn into real world relationships. So we'll talk a lot about going after the primary target prospects, those business owners, if you're an intermediary, if you're in buyout and looking to make multiple acquisitions, and also the referral prospects. So depending on your niche, depending on what you're focused on, if you have a certain geographic area, or if you're focused on coast to coast HVAC, whatever it is, who are your referral sources who can deliver you those primary targets, those ideal business owner targets on an ongoing basis? Where do they hang out? What online pools? What real world pools when this world opens back up? We're here on August 21st in the middle of the pandemic. So that is not the case today. So leveraging the online pools, if you had in-person conferences that have now since turned into virtual conferences, staying engaged with those, making sure that at the top of the funnel, you are still connecting on an ongoing basis with these business owners, the financial advisors, the accountants, the lawyers, everybody who's relevant to your deal flow, right? In the short term and the long term, you need to keep those pistons firing at the top of the funnel to make sure that you're setting yourself up for a full funnel in 2021. End goal of everything that we talk about in these webinars, you want to get the relationship, you want to get the engagement, you want to, whether it's an engagement where you're signing a contract to sell a company, or an engagement in terms of just sitting down and having a great conversation with somebody who is clearly a valuable prospect, who clearly fits the bill, who's running a company, they're thinking about their exit options. If you can make that in-person engagement, make that in-person connection, you're at the front of the line. And ideally, everything that we're doing helps set you up for that, right? So if we're doing at the top of the funnel, approaching your prospects, approaching your referral prospects, stating your value proposition, and then mid funnel, you're really talking about how your services, how your solutions fit the pain points, solve the problems of your end target prospect, familiarizing your prospects with who you are, what you do, why you're legitimate, why you are a qualified authority in the area of business acquisition and sale. You really want to make sure that they're getting comfortable with you. They see the social proof so they can get down to the point where they will actually reach out, where they will respond to a hook, which we're going to go through today with a cold email, to get that prospect on a phone call, to a cafe if people are actually meeting in person, et cetera, et cetera. So let's just pop right into the updates for everything that happened this week. On BizNexus, we have added NDA and calendar link automation for the intermediaries. So if you're a business broker, you just log right into your edit profile. And I'll just do this right now so I can show you. I'm going to log in as a business broker. Give me a second here and I'll do that for you. And when you log in as a business broker, let me just clear my cache. There we go. This is what you're going to see. So we've added a few things. In your edit profile, you're going to see link to your NDA, link to your calendar. If you're not already using Calendly, I highly recommend it. It's free. First of all, you can pay for a premium subscription. We do. We love it. It gives you more calendars. It gives you, okay, I've got internet connection issue here. Try this one more time. Can everybody still hear me okay? If you wouldn't mind just giving me one more confirmation in the chat, I'd appreciate that. I want to make sure I'm not having internet issues. Perfect. Thanks, guys. So with Calendly, this is free and it syncs with your calendar, whether that's Outlook, Google, and it's a great way to let your prospects automatically schedule meetings in your calendar. So with a process like social sales, if you have that Calendly link at the end of all of your messages, ideally, if your prospect is already familiar with who you are, they're kind of warmed up, they will go ahead and schedule a meeting with you. So with BizNexus, if you put in your NDA and you put in your calendar, I mean, one on your public profile, you're going to see those right there. We only show your profile to qualified prospects. So if it's a seller or a buyer who matches, so this is not going to be blasted out to internet world, but you will have that on your public profile. But most importantly, when a user inquires about one of your deals, we will first shoot them your NDA, right? So if you contact the seller, I'm not going to do this right now, but if I reached out, I would automatically get a prompt to sign the NDA. And then when I've signed the NDA, I'll get a prompt to schedule a meeting right in the calendar. So hopefully that's helpful for the brokers. I know it's going to be helpful for the buyers because they have been requesting this as well, just reducing wasted time on both ends. So hopefully that's helpful. We're also showing you the user message in your email notification. So instead of just an alert, you're going to have a clear message with the buyer profile who's inquired about your listing, or the user profile if they're just sending a message. We've been threatening for a long time to implement photo prioritization across the board. We've done that. So if you do not have a photo on BizNexus, you are much less likely to get matched. You're much less likely to get in front of a buyer or a seller or a deal that matters to you if you're a buyer and you haven't filled out your information. So do that if you haven't done it yet. We've also implemented recent searches, which is really cool. So brokers, you're going to see buy-side matches. We've now added the deals on your page. So if you're doing any buy-side work, I'm not going to go into this now, but you can see all of this, right? You can white label your buy-side work. We've gone through that. But when you do a search, I'll just do, I'll do a quick search under buy-side tools. If I search Miami, right? And let's just do that. That's it. That's my search. Okay. When I go back to my home page, I go to my buy side matches, I'm going to see recent searches. So you don't have to save your searches. You should, especially if you're going to do them by buy side client or acquisition target, but we're automatically doing this for you. So you are going to see your 3 most recent searches, and you'll have the opportunity, as always, to simply save those by clicking save this search. That's really all I'm going to cover right now. BN.Digital, we've just been busy, right? It's I think a relevant offering in this environment. I don't see that changing anytime soon. So today, let's just briefly go through the 4 parts of just one cold email formula, right? We're going to be in this capture phase of the social selling process. Again, social selling begins with optimizing your profile to meet your end target prospects' pain points, really nailing your targeting for your primary prospects and your referral prospects, building highly specific campaigns for each type of those prospects that is relevant so that it converts, so that you actually get the engagement, nurturing those prospects to make them familiar about who you are, what you do, how your services, how your product clearly meets their pain points, clearly is relevant to them, to the point where you capture and you get them. A cold email kind of flips this on its head, because what you're doing is you're ideally going after somebody who doesn't know you, and you're really just hitting them right between the eyes with your value prop. And if it's relevant, if it's spot on, you can get a hit if it's, if it's a good time. And if it's not, ideally your email is so relevant that you're not going to get marked as spam. You're not going to get a nasty reply. Ideally, it's just a very direct email that states your value prop as it's relevant to them. And if it's well executed, it can be very powerful. But it's a noisy internet world out there, and we all get cold emails every day. So it's an art form. So what is a cold email? It's designed to gain a clear benefit, right? So if you're a business broker, you're pitching a business valuation. You're going for a callback. You're going for a meeting. You're going for, is this person interested in even having a conversation about like what their exit options might be? And it's a one shot at that, right? You might have a drip with 3 emails. Ideally, you have visibility into who's opening your email, who's not, so you can resend that to the people who haven't opened it. But at the end of the day, you want to deliver your value proposition to the eyeballs, and you want to be able to confirm that those eyeballs have seen your value prop, that the email has been opened, that the link has been clicked. So whatever tools you're using, it's very important to have that data. I really like the quote from Sales Handy. It's a cold email is like a dart thrown in the dark. Sometimes it might hit, sometimes it might not. However, it's important to make sure that you throw the dart in the right manner in order to maximize your chances of hitting the bullseye. That's exactly what this is. Whether you hit it or not, again, I'll be talking about this probably with each slide. Data, data, data. You want to make sure that you have the data to hit these prospects across multiple channels. So if the timing isn't right, anybody who's in business acquisition and sale knows that if you're approaching a business owner, the first shot is most likely not going to hit, right? Now they might see it and they might know your value prop, and there might be a clear benefit there, whether they reply or not. But in terms of them picking up the phone and having a conversation with you about selling the business they've been running for the past 30 years, not likely, regardless of how good your deal sourcing strategy is. That's why we're always talking about, capturing the 90% who aren't ready, nurturing the 90% who aren't ready, right? Making sure that you're touching them across multiple channels and educating them about who you are, how your value prop fits with their pain points. So what is the right manner for a cold email? Again, it's designed to gain a clear benefit, right? It's short, it's direct, it's highly relevant, and you use tricks and tools and coding to make sure that if you're doing this at scale, you have a clean list, you have a relevant list, you have an email that's relevant to that list, and you have variables within the email that make this highly relevant to the user at scale. So it feels like that end user is getting a personal email, whether they are or not. You want to ideally deliver social proof if you can, maybe link out to a LinkedIn article, an article that you've written for a publication, for an industry specific publication, website with clear testimonial page, et cetera, and then again tracking the data. So Cold email formula, just one example. All right. This is one that we'll call the problem solution formula. And it's just one approach. I'm not giving you specific copy here. I can get into that a little more if this is something that people really want to dig into, but we also don't want to give away the whole agency. So we're just going to give you the framework and let you build from that with your own copy. I'm always happy to hop on a consultation and review a cold email drip that you've put together on your own and tell you what I like, what I don't like. But we're also just not going to give away the entire house for free. So problem solution formula. This is one that I'm sure you've all received. You've seen it in some form or another. Begins with a highly relevant introduction, right? Designed to keep you reading, designed to get your eyeballs to move down the email, to scroll down. And then it articulates a pain point that is highly relevant to your end prospect, not a generalized pain point, something that clearly shows, okay, this person knows me. This person knows my industry. This person has done a little bit of homework. It's not just a random spam. I'm going to keep reading. Quick statement about your solution and a call to action. Call to action should more often than not just be a reply, right? Don't require them to do too much. Just see if you can get a reply, have your contact info in your email so they can call you. They can schedule a calendar meeting if they want. If they click through to an article, if they click through to your site, you better have that call to action on your site, on your article, so they can click right through. You want to give them every opportunity to cross that final 1 yard line to make that call to engage with you. Subject line, some subject lines that we've seen work well. You want to use variables, so you can do that if you're using the right tool. Where if you're putting in a first name, and I'll just use me as an example here. You can say first name, found you on trade publication or LinkedIn group or conference, association, et cetera, et cetera. So it could be, Adam found you on, Middle Market Review. Hoping to help Adam. Quick question, Adam. Exit options for BizNexus, right? Something that is relevant. That's going to get people to open the line, open the email, and get to the actual message. And again, you want to be tracking this so you can resend this to the people who don't open and switch up the subject line if it's not getting the open rates. Industry standard is 20%. Honestly, with our agency, we like to be at over 60. You can do that with a good subject line. And then if you have the right technical specs in place, if you have the right tech stack in place, that is doable. So first step, relevant intro. Hi, Adam, fallback text. You always want to have fallback text. So if, for whatever reason, if you haven't cleaned your data, which you need to with cold email, just like you need to with everything that we've talked about with social selling, the targeting will, if you can nail your targeting, nail your prospect list, if you have clean data, you're going to reduce a lot of wasted time. So in that first email, ideally you do have the first name, but if for whatever reason you don't have a first name, you want to have fallback text. So in this case, it would say, hi, Adam. But if Adam, for whatever reason, is not in your list, it's not going to have a blank space where I clearly can identify this as an email that isn't personally sent to me. It will have fallback text. So if Adam isn't there, it'll say, hi there. Not as good as hi, Adam, but at least it's not hi blank space. I came across company name in relevant trade publication, and then given our inside key industry term overlap, I figured it makes sense to reach out. So again, if you have a highly targeted list, this isn't extra work. It's just setting it up correctly. So in this case, with me, sticking with me, right? Hey, Adam, came across BizNexus in Middle Market Review, and giving our M&A overlap, figured it made sense to reach out, right? M&A, that's an industry insider term, right? If you're in your industry, you should have these terms that clearly indicate you know something, right? You're not coming out of nowhere. You're in the industry. Use the industry lingo wherever you can, if you can do that to your advantage. Step 2, prospect problem, pain point, something along the lines of, after checking out your site, I noticed you weren't running a podcast yet. With all the high quality content you've been putting out in your blog, it's surprising you aren't using that material to convert into podcasts and drive more traffic to your site. So this is obviously like a vendor approach, approaching me. They've done a little bit of homework, so they've checked out my site. If you are not going to do that degree of research, you want this prospect pain point to as closely describe the pain point of your end prospect as possible, seeming personalized. Depending on the quality of the prospect, you can or cannot, you should or should not do this type of extra homework to send out a cold email. But again, if you're creative, you can have something that clearly just hooks into the pain point, seems personalized, tells your end prospect, this person is familiar with my business, with me to a degree, and they know the pain points that I have. Solution, just put it out there clearly in terms of how it solves your end prospect's pain point. So we have a done for you podcasting service focused on startups in the fintech industry. Again, these are variables that you'd insert. So this automatically populates fintech industry, right? And our service typically helps you generate 10 to 15 more demos every month without wasting your time on prospecting. Okay. So they're clearly offering a solution that might work for my identified pain point that they put in step 2. And then it ends with a call to action, right? So if you're interested in learning more about how we can help you get more qualified traffic with podcasts, just let me know. Best name. Even that's a little wordy. It could just be like, I'd love to hop on the line for an intro chat. If you're available, feel free to grab time on my calendar or just let me know sometimes at work and I'll juggle to make it work. Best, Adam. Something personalized, but a clear call to action with your email signature, your name, your address, your phone, your email repeated in your email signature. And if you have a Calendly link, something hyperlinked, schedule a call with me now. If you have any sort of articles, any sort of promotional pieces in your email signature, questionable, but we see that a lot. Make sure that when the prospect links out to that article, your contact info is there, right? It's at the end of the article. You have the call to action button. You always want to give them that call to action. So that's just one of many cold email formulas. If you guys want to see more of these things, there are a ton of frameworks and we're rotating through these things all the time to see what works. So feel free to put that in the questionnaire that we send out after this webinar. Again, let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear more about, what you don't want to hear more about. That's how we put these things together every week. This one came out of a direct request just for a template for one cold email process. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to fire away. Otherwise, we will just call it because we're coming up on 1:30 and we'll do it next week. So I'll give it just a few seconds here. Speak now, forever hold your peace, et cetera, et cetera. Looks like we're good. All right. So hope this is helpful, guys, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.